Welcome to Our Fighting Spirit, the podcast that celebrates and shares the stories of those who believe in persevering over giving up, standing again after falling, and continuing to live and build a life of their dreams no matter the circumstances. Here's your host, Anthony Gigante.
Hi, welcome to another edition of Our Fighting Spirit. You know, Our Fighting Spirit covers many, many levels of the human psyche, the human experience. Today, we're going to dive into a really heavy topic, and the topic is domestic violence and how you can overcome that. And we have a very special guest with us today, all the way from Chicago, Illinois. Her name is Suszy Lacey. Suszy, welcome.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for joining us today, and we really do appreciate your time. Thank you. Suszy, we met through our mutual friend, Camelia, very good friend of mine, very good friend of yours.
Yes.
Who actually is like I would use the word a sister to me. I've had the great pleasure of mentoring her, and now, quite honestly, she's mentoring me. So that's how powerful she is, and you're equally powerful. And
thank you.
When we heard your story, we wanted to see if we can get it on our podcast and help others with your amazing story. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me. Camelia's Camelia when I was around 17 years old in high school. I was a new girl in school, and she literally took me under her wing. We danced together. We talked all night. We went on vacations together. She's a wonderful spirit.
Wonderful spirit, quite. Yeah, she really is, and I'm very honored to know her. And we have the good fortune of helping each other in many, many ways, and it's effortless. It's just effortless. It just happens naturally, you know. So, Suszy, you live in Illinois, and Morton Grove, Illinois, and you lived there all your life, correct? You were born and raised there?
I was not born and raised here. I was born in Ohio, but I did not live there that long. I moved to Chicago around 1 year old, and then I actually lived in Florida from maybe 5th grade till about sophomore year, and then we came back to Chicago. But since then, I've been a Chicago girl. Yeah.
I get it. Okay, great. Midwestern spirit. I love it. I love it. So you lived in Florida. Were you tell us about your family a little bit. You have 3 brothers, I believe, and
yes, I do. So when my mom and dad, they got divorced when I was around 10 years old or 11, she remarried somebody, and we ended up moving to Florida for a couple of years with him for about 8, 9 years. And she had 2 other children who are my half brothers, who are also now my actual adopted kids. So they're my brothers and they're my kids at the same time. We moved back here for just to be closer to family. Everybody kind of moved away from Chicago. There's my brothers, and that's Zach and Dylan and Ray. Ray's my full brother. We're all very, very close. So we moved all back here because my mom has 4 sisters and 2 brothers, and we're very family oriented, wanted to move back, just to be closer to the family. We all kind of moved over there, and then we all kind of moved back. That's kind of how it was.
Beautiful. So when you moved back to Illinois, your dad, your biological dad, did your mom and dad just divorced, or did he pass away, or?
No, he's alive. He actually lives in Las Vegas.
Okay.
We're very close. I see him every year, and he comes to see all of my kids every year. They just divorced. They were young. They had me very young, 18. He was 20, and things end up not working out for them, unfortunately. But they were always never they were never on bad terms, I could say. They were always okay with each other.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it should be, actually. I totally agree with that. So when you so then a new stepdad came into your life.
Yes.
And you were old enough to form your own feelings about that, right?
Yes. Yes.
How was your initial reaction when your mom married someone else? I'm sure you were kind of happy for her, but at the same time, what did you feel inside about the new person in your life?
Um, Growing up as a young girl, I feel like I always had this weird kind of intuition with
Mhm.
me. I always told her, "Hey, mom, I was super independent from even 10 years old. I was one of those girls that wanted to fly away young, um, travel. I always knew my goals, and I would tell her, "Hey, if this is what you want in life, go ahead, do whatever you want. Marry him if you want." I was not per se. I was always on her side, but there was tendencies that, like, as a young girl, I could have seen weird things, like not letting her have long hair, or not being around family. You know, kind of like just weird obstacles that you tend to see when you know that a person's kind of an odd person, not
Mm,
having many friends, not people liking you, maybe not having friends sleep over,
mm.
kind of
So
like that.
so that affected you too. He was in a possessive way in regards to you and your brothers as well. Like he would stop you from doing things or prevent, like
Um,
you mentioned, have people sleeping over. And how did it affect you in your life as you were growing up as a young lady?
I think he was always odd. People just didn't like him as much as you know others. Like so
Mhm,
I just feel like he was just an oddball.
mhm,
Um, and that's what I would just call him, an like what, as we grew up, he was just an odd person.
mm,
We'll say
mm,
he wasn't a very it wasn't like he was a bad or mean person per se. Like he
mhm.
tried to tell jokes, and I'm going on honesty. And he was just like this weird odd person that people just always didn't like. I can't explain it.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, I can
Yeah,
see it.
just
I've met
odd.
people like that in my life, and you
Mhm.
tell right away that they are odd, and there's something about them,
Yeah,
and
it
they're
was something weird, just something odd about him. Yeah.
trying hard to fit in. So
Yeah.
how long was mom married to him? Um,
They got married, I would say, couple I think I was around 13 when they got married.
mhm, mhm,
They're and they got together a couple years before. They had one of my brothers named Zachary, and then they
mhm.
got married. Beautiful wedding. It was wonderful. Um, so like, I feel like she tried her best with him. Oh, I got
Mm.
sorry, I got
That's
something.
okay. That's okay. No problem. No
Yeah.
problem.
And it was decent. It was okay. You know, yeah.
Did
We
you
kind of
see?
like had separate lives. Like me and
Yeah.
Raymond kind of did our own thing.
Yeah.
And then I feel like, it's not that she wanted to start a different life with him, because we always kind of lived with her and stuff, but like there was always like a separation between
Yes. Yes.
me and my mom and maybe my brother than with the other new family coming along. But then me and my brothers always felt, me and Ray embraced our little brothers like no
Mm.
other. It was kind of like he was just the odd one at some points. It was weird. It was weird.
No, I get it. I get it. And your mother, when she was married to your dad,
Mhm.
was more outgoing and more. I
Oh
use the
yeah.
word vivacious because she was a very beautiful woman. She was a very
Yes,
beautiful
she
woman.
was. Yeah.
Vivacious and outgoing. Did you start seeing the changes in mom in the second marriage as the marriage progressed? Like more withdrawn, or any changes that alarmed you at all about your mom's personality?
Yeah, I think that she felt trapped.
Mm,
Number one was the feeling of trapped. I
mm,
think dwelling on things that probably normally she wouldn't have dwelled on. Um, you know, she was a very hard worker, and then like at one point she wasn't probably able to work, and she actually broke her neck when my second brother was born. So that kind
wow.
of stopped her. Yeah, she had a fusion done with her neck, and that kind of stopped a lot of it, and then painkillers, like being in so much pain. And back then, 20 years ago, neck surgeries were new kind of thing.
Yes,
So it's
yes.
not like nowadays. So she was in a lot of pain the last couple years.
How did she break her neck during the giving birth or
No, we
fall?
actually got into a car accident, and she her disc started just cracking on her. Yeah.
Wow.
But she thrived. Like, she still had kids. She still did everything. Still drove us to school. We still had it all just because of her. There was no stopping her, for sure, for her kids.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's beautiful. I can see.
Yeah.
I can see. Just
She would
wait.
get
The way
anything.
you are, I can tell she was like that. Just your spirit
Yeah.
alone, I can tell she was like that.
Yeah.
So you guys all moved back to Chicago together, correct? Your new stepfather and family, and all moved back
Yeah.
to Chicago. Okay.
Yeah, you could like, I transitioned to see my dad for a couple months, and then we all end up moving back to Chicago next to, all her sisters and family. And it got really weird when we got back here, because I feel like he kind of just didn't like her around family members. Like, even going to a Christmas party where you're around your
Mm,
sisters was like challenging for him, because he didn't even want her by her sisters.
mm.
So that's how I feel like it started. Like, where, say if you want to hang out with your sisters, you should be able to do whatever you want at your sister's house, like how
Of course.
normal sisters are. You grew up together for, your whole life, and they all had little kids, had other kids. I have 30 first cousins just on one side. So
Oh, oh,
yeah, we
boy.
have a big family. So we were just used to having like these grand Christmas parties, and it would just be like, him leave, and then like we'd all want to like stay and, hang out, and he would kind of get mad at her for that.
Mm, mm.
you know
So yeah, so the progression, you
yeah.
even as a young child, you were seeing the progression in this personality that was
Yeah.
a
At one
little.
point, I kind of just let her. I'd be like, "You want to keep your life like this? Go ahead. I'm gonna." I end up like moving out very young because of
Oh,
that. Yeah.
so
hmm
you left the family on you went on your own and left
Yeah.
that that atmosphere that you were not comfortable in, and you moved out, but you moved close to home. You were in Illinois as well. You were
Yes.
right
Yes.
with the family.
Yeah.
How
hmm
old were you when you moved out? How old were
I
you?
was 18 years old.
Gee, God bless you.
Mhm.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
courageous. And
hmm
and by yourself, or did you have a partner
Yeah.
or
I moved out. I ended up marrying my ex-husband, who's wonderful. I would just, we married 18 years old. It's really young.
sure.
Um,
Well, you probably were. I'm sure you were in love, but you're also looking for an escape from a world that was getting more and more pressure packed for you as a child. I mean, you were still very, very
yeah.
young, and
Yes.
you left. You wanted to have love and joy in your life, so
Yeah.
you fell in love and you made your move. So that's I
Mhm.
understand that too. I mean, that's when
Yeah,
you
it
want to
got
move
so bad
out.
at 18. I think my mom actually tried to kill herself when I was 18 years old, 2 days before my birthday. And that was that was really hard. Knowing that, she was ready to take her own life because of this circumstance that she was in.
So that's how deep it got for her at
That's how
that
deep it
point.
got. She got that deep, where she was, you know, I got a phone call, your mom is calling, saying goodbye to people. And, so we called 911. It was like the middle of the night. And she took a whole bunch of pills. Unfortunately, it was not her best time, and she apologized for that. She was in a hospital for days after that. And the funny part is that he actually made it her issue. He made it towards him. He made her sign waivers and things, because I think before that, a couple months before that, he actually violently abused her. And, the cops were called. This is on numerous occasions. At some point, the cops were called, and she was already like to the point of like, I don't know what to do with myself. She just didn't know, and she was young.
Mm.
She was
So her whole personality did 180-degree turns
Underneath.
gradually and slowly. And that night
Yeah.
was the 180th degree, I guess. You moving out, I bet, had a little something to do with it. Not that it was your fault, but I bet she looked at you as her salvation, because she saw your vibrancy and your life, and she probably, I know she loved you very much, and she probably needed you around. And it's not your fault that this happened. Please, I'm not insinuating that at all. That sometimes when someone's in very deep despair and they see others very happy, it does trigger that reaction where they want to hurt themselves because they lose themselves, and when you lose yourself, you don't know what you're thinking. You don't know what you want to do, and that's quite a tough one. That's an understatement, actually. That's a tough one, but she recovered, thank God, from that episode, right?
Yeah, she actually recovered from that too. She lived a couple years until after that,
And how was she after she got out of the hospital? Did she realize that, I did this and now I don't even want to go back to a place like that again? Or was she still in the position where? Oh,
no,
okay.
actually she did. Once she got out of the hospital and she realized all of that happening and what's triggering her, she divorced him. Finally. Yeah, she was divorced when this all happened. She divorced him. She moved on. She found another love of her life, which, they were just starting to date, but he was very nice to her and to my little brothers. And that triggered him to take the next step in his plan to end her. That's when, when he found out that she was not going to take anything from him anymore and divorce him, that's when he became obsessed.
So when she divorced him, he did go away for a period of time, but I guess he kept an eye on what was going on from a distance, I guess. And when he found out she had a new love in her life and she was happy, he couldn't deal with that, right?
Could not deal with it.
Couldn't deal with it.
It was impossible for him. So
he started coming back and trying to. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Susie. I apologize. Did he still have visitation with the children? Was he still involved in that kind of routine, or was he out of the picture altogether?
I would say maybe they were divorced for about 2 years, and he maybe seen them 3 times. Not really. No.
But was he able to, though, by law, or was he did that get worked out where he was able to visit the children when on designated times, or that?
He did this weird thing where he left and he he went on a boat to play because he was a musician. And I think he went on a boat to go play so that he couldn't pay child support. He couldn't, they couldn't find him. And, for family's sake, she would, if he was in town, she'd let him see let the grandparents see him, and maybe he'd stay by his mom's house and see them. But I'm talking extremely rare cases.
Yeah. It wasn't anything set in stone where he has them every weekend or every other weekend.
Nothing. She had them full time. I used to pick them up from school. They know this. Yeah. But they were really young still too. They were only 4 and 5 when, they were 5 and 6 when she died. So they didn't really live with him to know the real him,
Yeah.
Much as I did. Yeah.
Now, Susie, when you always were close to your mom and you always loved your mom and you still love your mom, it never ends, whether they're here or not. We still love our parents, right?
Of course.
When you started seeing of course, when her trying to take her own life, that must have been devastating to you. But when she came out of it, you felt her, and now she found this new love and she was getting better. You started to see your mom as you remember her, right?
It's funny because at that point we were kind of in this, okay, Zach and Dylan are getting bigger. I was about to turn 21, and it was just walking into her house was more of a fun situation. Even though I wasn't 21, we'd have a glass of wine together, we'd hang out. The girls were all starting to hang out. She'd want to go out and babysit for her to go out with, for her boyfriend at that time. And it was a fun house. It was more of a family oriented, like no weird energy coming through
Mhm,
anymore.
mhm,
You
mhm,
know, her new boyfriend had kids my age. So it was kind of like we're all becoming like this kind of happy, new mixed family, which was fun.
mhm.
Family was starting to come around more, which was great, like parties again. And yeah.
And the healing started. Healing
Oh
takes time, but
yeah.
it starts to heal, and you see the healing happen in front of your eyes. I mean,
Yes, for
but
sure.
the healing was on the right track, and things were happening, which was beautiful.
Yeah.
So then, he tries to get his way back into the picture wherever he was working. He's finished, and he comes back into town to try to sabotage the
Yeah,
happiness, right?
he would honestly, we were then there was like a weird 6-month period where when he did come back in town, the cops actually came to us telling us, you have a murder for hire on you. So he was trying to find someone to murder her, and he didn't find somebody. He would go to People would be coming to us like, hey, this is going on. The cops actually would come to us. So once you hear that, like it was a fear. So like those last 6 months were me not being able to go by her house, because at one point I was driving. I went to my mom's house in the night, to hang out. She made dinner and I'm leaving. And his car, he thought maybe I was my mom. And he starts following me in my car. He was waiting outside her house. So she then started doing orders of protection on him. I think she had around 8 different orders of protection.
Oh my goodness! Oh my
Yeah.
goodness!
So it was, then I stopped my car and I'd be like, what are you doing? And then one time he's following her, and she had the kids in the car, and he starts trying to break her car windows to beat her up. And the people around in cars had to call the cops on him.
Mhm, mhm.
Cell phones were just came out then. We only had minutes or something. I don't know what happened, but they were all calling. That's how in fear she was, because he was everywhere. He didn't have a job. He was in the lowest point of his life, completely obsessed with her. Yeah.
Did-
So yeah,
it's incredible. I mean, incredible even at this point for me to understand that.
I do.
Um,
Yeah.
did What was your mom's state of mind when, like, did your mom have a different state of mind when she was involved in the relationship, and at this point was she stronger in your opinion that she was ready to fight him off, or did she resort back to that feeling she had when she was with him?
Well, because of all these things that he was doing, there was so many different orders of protection that he was it was a fear. She was afraid.
Hmm.
She had a fear of, she actually at one point had water bottles by all of our windows,
Hmm.
just in case someone opened the window, the water glass would fall and we'd hear a crack.
Hmm.
So it was a big fear for her, because of this situation. We found out, just a cop came to us and told us, hey, um, this gang person, maybe he was trying to hire somebody, and then they came to us telling us, hey, this is happening, and they were seeking him out to get orders of protection to put him in jail prior to the incident.
Yeah. So before we get to the incident,
Mhm.
when you mentioned a couple of minutes earlier that you had the police would come to you and say that there's a hit out on your mom.
Yeah, there was a hit. Mhm.
How did the police find out? Was it informants that went to the police and said, "Hey, this nut
Yes.
job is
Yes.
telling me to go kill this woman or kill his family or hurt this family or do whatever they were planning to do," and
Yep.
then the cop would come and tell you. But when the
Mhm.
cops came and told you, even with order of protection, didn't they feel the need to stay closer to the situation physically to make sure that
Um,
I know domestic violence is very tricky,
mhm.
and but didn't they feel like, hey, this is a real deal here, and maybe we should, put a car in front of the house one day a week and as a show of something. Did that ever happen, or?
I feel like there could have been more action with the cops on that part.
Witness protection kind of deal, right?
Yes, we were on the verge of even doing that part. It
Yeah.
was basically he was going to jail on a Friday, and the incident happened on a Monday. So he was going to go to jail no matter what at that point.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. And your brothers, they were younger. Did
Yeah,
they understand what was going on, or were they too young to understand what was going on?
they were too young, but I feel like their probably last 6 months was hard on them,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that all these crazy incidences were going on, and hopefully they don't remember my mom like that. They probably hopefully only they don't probably remember her that much as we did, but like the fear and all that was not her. She was not in her right state of mind for a
Right.
second time. Yeah.
Shortly after a tragedy occurs.
Mhm. Yeah.
And what's the timeline on that, Susie? Please speak as much as you want about it, as much as you can about it, please.
Okay, so basically I think around Halloween it got really bad with him trying to find out where she was and stuff like that. Like Halloween was a really scary day for us cuz like not knowing if he's going to come with a mask or trick or treating. It was really weird. We had a really crazy from Halloween till December 13th. I woke up in the morning and I have this weird intuition vibe. I've always did. And I was telling, I was probably in a weird sense of my life too because I had, a fear for my mom.
Sure.
And so I was terrified. I had a nightmare and I went to go sleep on the couch. I did not live with her, thank God. At that point, and my grandmother was there because they were putting up the Christmas trees, and it was right around Christmas. And my mom actually, unfortunately, again broke her leg. She's so stressed out that she was putting up the Christmas tree and broke her leg. So she was in a lot of pain that day. But she's like, Susie, come over the night before, and I'm like, no, Mom, I'm just gonna sleep home, and I'll see you tomorrow. And she wanted to go Christmas shopping the next day. So I was like, okay, well, we'll figure it out. I'll call you in the morning. And I had to go to work anyways. And he walked in, and I think Comcast cable company might have been like, they might have been having them put in a new cable box or something like that. But my grandmother opened the door and he shot fire on her multiple times. She was trying to run away. And then he went to my mom and tragically killed her, stabbing her over 47 times and shot her over 7 times. It was something that I don't like to talk about, but yeah.
I know.
I got a phone call from one of my first cousins who's like my sister, and she just started yelling, he killed her. And I'm like, we all knew. Like, we all kind of just already knew that would happen. And he killed my grandmother too that day. So I just, so honestly, my brothers everybody lost somebody they loved.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, by the way, for telling us this, and you take a minute or so, and please compose.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab a tissue right quick.
So it's okay. It's okay. What you're doing is fine, Susan. This is our human experience. This is fine.
Yeah.
Were your brothers home when this happened? Were the children home?
He waited till they were at school. The funny part is, so right after that, I already felt like they were gone. So my first instinct, even as a 20-year-old, was I actually drove to their school to make sure that they were okay. So that's kind of like, I would say, the day I became a mom.
And a mom at 22 years old, or 21 and a half at this point?
No, I was 20 years old.
You're 20 years old. Okay. Instinctively, that's I want to get to that too, that you went to the school to see that's the first thing you thought about, because that says a lot about
Hmm.
the past, because in a lot of many cases, it seems like you took the responsibility of being a mother to your younger brothers because of the events that were going on. So you hear this news, your first instinct is to go and make sure your brothers are okay.
Yeah, I grabbed them from the school, and right when I got there, cops were already at their school. We all kind of went down to the police station, and they were just questioning us for a couple hours, I would say. We were there being questioned. We kind of didn't know exactly what was going on. And then, as the days progressed, obviously we knew that they were dead and gone. Um, it was crazy. It was a hard time.
Hard is an understatement.
Yeah,
Hard is an understatement.
it was fear. It was everything. Cops being involved, finding him. He was home.
Oh, he actually fled the scene and went home.
Yeah, he fled. He fled the scene. I think he went to McDonald's and then went home. To be honest, that's what we kind of heard after trial. It was disgusting. He thought he was going to get away with it. Honestly, he really did think he was going to get away with it. He thought that he was going to have this wonderful life after this, and we found the cops found him. He took his time too. He wore gloves. They picked him up on radars where his phone calls were and stuff. It was a situation where circumstantial evidence was key to all that for him being tried. It took 5 years to convict him.
Wow, you had to go through this for 5 years. The agony of this for 5 years.
Yes, 5 years. Trial just kept on being delayed or continued, and then finally on, I think it was his birthday, we started trial, and it was my mom's birthday when we ended trial, and that was kind of like a great accomplishment. 1 month of trial. I just had one of my middle child, and I was like, you know what? Even they had trial, continuously. We thought trial was going to go on, and it was so weird. I was like, you know what? My mom's not going to let him see me pregnant on stand. So just so happened I just had the baby, which was great. So I didn't have to go through that.
Unbelievable, Susan.
Yeah.
What a beautiful, what I have so many things to say. And the first thing, I just want to comment on what you just said, that your mom is not going to let you be on the stand when you're ready to give birth to your baby. Which shows a tremendous connection to your mother, and knowing that she's still there with you, watching you and protecting you, and doing what's right for you. And that's an amazing, powerful statement, Susie. That was beautiful.
Yeah, actually, the funny part was I was actually due with the baby on around the end of May, and I actually we're very close, me and my mom, even now, that we actually had a baby on the same day. So one of my brothers and one of my sons have the same birthday.
That's an amazing gift. What an amazing gift that is.
I was like, I went into his classroom that morning. I was like, okay, Dylan. I was joking with him. I'm like, Dylan, I'm gonna have the baby today on your birthday. It was a joke. Like, I wasn't even due, and they were like, no, you have to have this baby right now. So they got him out of me pretty fast. And we always joke around that I get to kill two birds with one stone, having just one big birthday party for them both. Yeah.
What a joyous.
Yes, it's a fun birthday.
It's a fun birthday. So, I mean, Susie, you're incredible, and
thank you.
And you still don't really have time, and I'm just assuming here, and you can correct me. You don't really even have time to grieve, because what your immediate reaction was, there's people to be taken care of here.
Yes.
Innocent people to be taken care of here. And it's my responsibility to take care multiple. And it's my responsibility to take care of them.
Yes.
So of course we mentioned earlier, your first instinct was to go to the school and protect your brothers from everything that
Yes.
was going on. You wanted to be there and be the one to tell them
Mhm.
and be with them at that moment, which I find
Mhm.
is one of the most selfless acts I've ever heard in my life, first of
Yeah.
all, and I commend you for it. I really, really do.
Thank you. Mhm.
But you realize at that point too, were you still with your the gentleman that you moved out with when you were 20?
Yeah.
Are you,
Yeah.
okay, so you had a
Yeah.
great foundation at home. You had a great husband. You have a great foundation. So you had
Yes.
someone on by your side, which is wonderful.
Yes. Mhm.
But you immediately decided that
Mhm.
these children, these boys need a mother.
Oh yeah. And he took full responsibility for them as a father too.
Yeah,
Yeah, he,
and
he did both. He did.
well,
Wonderful guy. Can't.
amazing, amazing
Uh,
man. I love to get a chance to meet him one
yeah,
day.
he's great.
But you decided that it's not
Yeah.
only I'm not only going to be the older sister, or in this case, stepsister, or whichever relationships were
Mm.
with all the children there, but you decided that you were going to adopt your brothers.
Yes, it actually, because of trial, I actually had to be a foster mom at first, because getting his rights away, all that. So it probably took just a couple months afterwards. I was like, I want to adopt you. I wanted all my boys to have the same last name.
And that
So,
came to you from God, the universe, or from your heart and your soul. No one suggested
well,
this to you. This is what this is what you felt. This is
yeah,
the
this is what I felt. I always wanted them to all my boys to have the same last name. Didn't matter. And I asked all of them, like, what, I asked Zach and Dylan when they were, being adopted. I'm like, we kind of joke around because obviously I'm their sister and I'm their mom. For school purposes, I would say I'm more of their mom. Mhm.
So this is only a couple of months later when you decide you're going to adopt your brother, so everyone has the same last name, which is amazing to me.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that would occur to me to do, and I'm really blown away by that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you still haven't, though. You've taken on all this responsibility with your fantastic husband. Both of you have taken on
Uh,
this responsibility
yeah.
to, for lack of a better word, save the family,
Yeah.
or bring the
Mhm.
family back as much as you can into a positive direction,
Yes.
as much as you can.
Yeah. We I tried my best. Of course I made mistakes with being 20 years old. And I think even every mom would say that they made mistakes with growing up kids. I think number one would be that I sheltered them really close to me.
Sure.
I had so many fears of making a mistake with Zach and Dylan. They know that, like, making sure they're at school, and
Mhm.
I was at the park with them until they were probably about 17. They always make fun of me now that, like, they were I now that they see how different I am with the younger kids growing up, they're like, "Oh my god, you're letting them go to the movies so young and stuff, and you're not behind them in the show, or watching every move." I'm like, "Guys, I was a different person. I'm sorry. I had so many fears with you guys. I wanted to make sure you were okay." Um, they appreciate me, but of course they have those little, like, jealousies. Well, you let them do anything now, and I'm like, yeah, no, but it will be my fault if I mess up. Yeah,
Susie, there's so many levels to this
yeah,
that are fascinating to me,
mhm,
and one of the
yeah,
most fascinating is that at a young age,
mm,
you were very independent, as you mentioned, but as a young age,
yeah,
after this tragic thing happened,
yeah.
you just assumed the role of the matriarch of the family, and
I would say I did. Even
yeah.
with my brother Ray, like, who doesn't get talked about is enough. He had it very hard. There he is. He lived with me too for a number of years. So we all kind of lived together. He
Mhm,
came to move in with me, because he wanted to be by Zach and Dylan and by the family, and
mhm, mhm.
he had a baby, and then he moved out, and he I still feel like I'm his, even though I'm not his mom and I did not adopt him. I'm still
Mm-hmm.
he's still like my baby,
Of course, I totally understand that. But in your world, I mean, when did you, I mean, do you, of course you realize what happened, but in all this stuff that you're trying to rebuild your family, do you have moments where you broke down and you lost your direction temporarily? Not to like you mentioned earlier. No, first of all, I applaud you as well, because in situations like this, you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier in our little pre-interview that
Mhm.
you took the road of positivity. You didn't take the
Yes,
road
yes.
of saying, I'm going to drink, I'm going to do drugs, I'm going to get high and escape my reality, and I'm going to move forward. And it doesn't mean that people who may take that other road temporarily are bad people. They're not. It's hard to deal with what you went through. And
Well, honestly, growing up, I would not say that I drink. Like I was never a drinker that drank every day or all the time. But if I would drink, it would be to the point of crying. So it was not.
right, you were escaping. You were trying to escape a situation that you were so young and involved in that you didn't know how to escape. Okay, he's fine.
Yeah.
That you didn't know how to escape that reality. You were very young at the time, so that is kind of a normal way to go. But as what I'm so extremely impressed by is that your world really just fell apart, Susie, and your mother and your grandmother brutally murdered.
I gave up school. That was number one, which was really hard for me. Was I wasn't going to. I gave up school for a couple years, so that was something. I was the only girl in my whole family out of the 7 sisters and brothers and 30 grandchildren. I was the first girl to ever graduate high school. So I was always very ambitious, and I wanted to go to school for something. It was a little tough, but I did get my C in early childhood education, and I like, and I worked there for 15 years. I'm still best friends with everybody there. That actually helped me going back to work and having responsibility of knowing, hey, at one point, Zach and Dylan there was so much fun. I actually worked at Lifetime Fitness in the daycare.
Did
and
you really?
I used to have to bring Zach and Dylan and Logan. I had like those little, I feel like I have 2 different sets of kids because like Zach and Dylan and Logan grew up together. And now I have like Logan's kind of in between because he's that middle one. Logan, Maddox, and this little young one. Look at his, he wants that skater hairstyle right now.
We're gonna get him. We're gonna let you go soon so you can spend time with him and enjoy your day.
I feel like they all got to, where was I going? I put the work. Working was key to showing my kids, and then also working out was number one too, showing them, and that's what actually helped is finding something that's going to push you to do something and keep you away from those. Thinking about something so much is going to not help.
That's right, Susie. Absolutely right.
It's not going to change anything. So that's one thing I wanted to tell people or young women that maybe had something happen to them is dwelling on anything that's negative is never going to help. Just move forward, push forward. I need you to move.
Movement is the best medicine. Movement is the best medicine. I agree with you totally there, and it's amazing.
Never dwelling. Yeah, moving forward is number one. God is number one too. I put all my boys through, putting them through religious education is always number one. They all, I don't mind which religion you are, but as long as you're have a positive somebody you feel there's a higher power for will help you in that. Yeah, for sure.
Agreed 1,000%. The last thing I want to say about this is that you are a powerful woman.
Yeah, I always with the fighting spirit, being spiritual, I always tell myself I'm going to get everything I want in life, and I do. So
I see that, and as I'm watching,
I don't let anything go. I don't. If like with anything. Like, if I say I'm going to do it, I always get to it. Doesn't matter how long it will take me. I'm going to get there.
I
Yeah.
can tell it about you now. Also, when I'm watching your beautiful home that I see a little piece of behind you, and I see your beautiful children, your beautiful child that's coming in. That is, he's polite. He's exuberant because he's a young child, and he sees a camera and he's fooling around with it and he's having fun. But I see the way you talk to your child.
Thank you.
And that speaks volumes, you know, to who you are, you know. And I mean, sometimes everyone can talk and say something, but the actions are what speak. And this brief 3 minutes that we just had when your son was jumping on the bed and behind you, your actions showed you exactly who you are.
Thank
you. Know what I mean? And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So let's talk about the present now and the future of Suzy and her beautiful family.
Ooh, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, you mentioned you were. You begin, please. Go for it.
Well, the present, starting with my children, because they're always number one. Dylan and Zach are. I would never, like. How can I say this? They grew up with nobody. They grew up with no grandparents because they lost all their grandparents that day. I have one grandfather that has dementia right now. He was always around, but so they only had one grandfather their whole life, you know. Great guy, wonderful to them. Anything they ever, you know, needed, like he would always drive them somewhere, you know. But obviously he was older when, you know, because we're kind of brother and sister. We're brother and sister, so he's already older as a grandparent. You know, so they lost everybody, and they had a 20-year-old girl raising them. So I could not commend these two boys that probably could have turned south any way, or blamed me, or blamed their mom, or blamed their dad for their situations. And Dylan is a wonderful UFC fighter with MMA. So if you guys all want to look him up, his name is Dylan Alvarez. He just fought the other day live on TV. He's awesome. Zachary has got the biggest heart. He's also he does heavy weights, so he's a weightlifter. And, so I feel like they got that from me because I loved working out my whole life, and that was an scapegoat. If I don't get to work out, I guess my I would say, well, I don't know that
it creates energy. It creates energy. It creates your mind activity.
I need
Me too. I do it every day, and it makes my whole life better because I think clearly from that point on. You know, and that's
working
how.
Out the scapegoat. If I had to box and pretend it was somebody's face for a long time, it was definitely a scapegoat. You know,
that's
for that.
great.
I feel like they took after me with that. My three boys, I could not say, they don't even say a bad word in front of me. So they're such good boys.
I can see it. I can tell. I can tell just by as I mentioned, that quick moment of when your son was behind you. I can see how well behaved there, how much respect there is in the house.
Yeah, there's so much respect between all of us. Honestly, as even time goes on, you could have, you know, being a brother and a sister and a mom, you know, I might tell them, hey, what are you doing, or something, or maybe have a moment, and they're just, we don't ever cross the line of not having respect for each other.
No, that's because it comes from you.
Knock on wood. I don't ever want it to happen, but we're all very respectful for each other.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen because you laid the foundation. So now, in your present life, your career, you're in real estate, right? You became are you a real estate broker or a salesperson?
I am a broker. Well, I do real estate sales. I do buying and selling. I really want to get into construction and design of real estate. I love that part of it. I love seeing the ugliest home turn beautiful. I don't know if it's something that happened in my life that makes me want to do that. But I am out there real estating, and I love it. It came to me after my divorce. And I actually always loved real estate. I was always known for the girl that loves parties. I love entertaining people. Real estate comes with that. Just, showing your house, showing everybody wants people to be invited to their home. So that's one thing that I am good at. Took me like a snap to take that test and just get there. COVID pushed me. COVID was actually the key to, hey, this is my time with as a teacher is done, and now I need to push forward. Yeah.
Amazing, Suzy, amazing. And I can tell you take great joy into putting someone in a new home.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
part of your motivation as well. Yeah, I can tell that right away.
I don't mind, as real estate agents, we all might have a second job because you have to wait in between those checks, and I take my time with everyone. So I'm loving that aspect of my life. Yeah, for sure. I love it. I love the area. I love North Shore. I love our Chicagoland area has so much to offer us. And I love the area. I love real estate. I love it.
Suzy, I can tell. You actually glow, and you really do. You really do. It comes out of you. You can see it's all natural and wonderful and the right energy. Nothing is forced about you. That's what I guess I'm trying to say. Nothing is forced about you. I see it all coming out, and I see it coming out beautifully. And
thank you.
Your story is a fascinating one that's going to help a lot of people and help in a couple of ways. The first way is to overcome tragedy like that. And the second part is not only to overcome it, but to thrive. And that's what our fighting spirit is about. That's why I began this whole episode here of my life, where we want to get folks out there like yourself, get their stories, not only people to listen to them, but for people to hear them. Big difference, right? And you are the definition of our fighting spirit.
On that aspect of our fighting spirit, it doesn't have to be such a tragic incident in life. We could have something that could be so small in our life that we might not be able to get over, like but maybe a divorce, which is not small, or a different situation that could bring us down, and we don't know that we're going that route. Into, you got to change your mindset to just thrive on something else, push forward to something else, not dwelling on anything that's going to bring negativity to us, and pushing for always, what also is believing in yourself. Number one is believing in yourself. If you're not going to believe in yourself, nobody's going to believe in you. If you have that little doubt in yourself, you're not going to get there. Believe in yourself, and hopefully have some sort of mentor that could help you. And if you can't find that mentor at that moment, just trust in God and keep on pushing.
Our fighting spirit. This is an episode that must be watched. You must listen to every word that Suzy has told us today and every angle of her life that occurred, and know that you can make it too, because we are here in a very short time in life to overcome these challenges and to make our lives and our people we love special. And here's the greatest example I could ever offer today. Suszy Lacey. Suzy, thank you.
So much. Thank you.
And everyone, thank you for joining us today on this amazing journey on our fighting spirit. Suszy Lacey, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was my honor to speak with you today.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Please make sure to follow us on your favorite podcast player and leave us a review.